One of the biggest mistakes you could make is sending an email that is emotionally charged to someone, and then they read it. That could mean disaster. And it's something that you should keep in mind. Last week, when we were doing the Locker Room Daily Report broadcasts, as the power was out for me, we had the rest of the Locker Room crew and some of the registered Nomies talking about some of the articles, including, ways to safeguard from sending emails that you didn't mean to send. But there's a new article on lockerroom.com that is slightly a different topic, although I guess somewhere within the same universe. Emotionally laden decisions, what would you do? Go ahead and take a look at the article. I'm going to go ahead and do this while I'm at it. +1, like, and tweet. So when you are feeling upset about anything, now you may be sitting at your keyboard right now and you're feeling upset at this point in time, and you may be inclined to do something rash and just basically lash out with your emotion. And if you don't know if you're even doing this, a clue is, do you feel like kind of a tickle in your stomach? You're agitated, you just feel something's bubbling up. That means that you're emotionally charged. That's not a good thing when it comes to communicating with other people, and it's certainly not a good thing when you're making a decision. And, crafty salespeople will actually leverage that for their own benefit. Fear sells. Gives you kind of this feeling like you're unsafe, something's not secure, you need to fix it, and someone has a solution for you. They're riding on your emotion. Now, when you are writing with emotion, this could be good if you're trying to generate support for your cause, but it could also make what you're trying to communicate muddied. Years ago, when I started with email, I would just everything. In my head, just this whole random mess of emotional garbage. And I learned over time that after I hit that send button, I would feel maybe 5 minutes later like I probably shouldn't have sent that. So I may be inclined to need to communicate with somebody. But inevitably, and I would say this is a tremendous tip for you if you find yourself in situations where you regret doing something after you've done it. You need to take a step back before you put yourself in potential danger and at risk. This could be bad for you or anybody that may be around you, whether it's personal or professional in nature. When you make decisions based on emotion, it ain't going to turn out well. Unless it's a fight or flight, you need to make that decision right then and there. Take some time. Just give it some thought. And I'm telling, trust me, write the email, get it out, like blah, blah, blah. But instead of hitting send, just put it in drafts. Huge recommend. Trust me, just trust me on this. Put it in drafts. Sit on it for a while. Come back to it. Maybe even an hour later, 12 hours later, a day later, give it a read. I can guarantee with a fair amount of accuracy that you will edit that piece and you will make it a shorter piece. You will strip out extraneous thoughts. When you read it again, it'll make for a better email. And when you can whittle that down to something that presents information the way you need it to present or to be presented, you're coming across not as an emotional lunatic, it's going to help. And you're likely not going to feel like you shouldn't have sent something, especially if you go back and look at it an hour later, a day later. Give yourself some time to calm down. The same would apply for a blog post, a status update, even down to doing a video on YouTube. It's very rare when I want to do a video that if I'm feeling really emotional about it, it's extremely rare that I want to do a video at that point. Sometimes I'll even start doing a video and get emotionally charged while I'm doing the video. And that sometimes can make for a better video, but that tends not to be, done with a specific person in the crosshairs. Or it's generally done when I'm really upset about a particular topic or an issue at hand. Potentially something that had happened to me recently in relation to business transaction, where there's less of a personal stake on the other end, and more of, hey, I just need to vent. But even when I do a video, I've had at least some time to think about it and to realize that, is this something that I really want to share? Is this something that's going to come back and bite me? And there have been times that it's happened. Just be aware that when you are making decisions based on emotion, those aren't good decisions. They may seem like a good decision at the time, and if you give it an hour and you still feel the same way, okay, fine. You give it a day and you still feel the same way, all right. But when you're communicating with other people, realize that I'm talking to a camera, this inanimate object. You're watching a screen, another inanimate object, but I'm communicating to you. You're another human being on the other end of the screen. When you type to someone, all the comments that I'm seeing in the YouTube live chat box or the Nomi's chat room, I can see a human being's typing them and a human being's reading them. And when you are feeling agitated, if you're upset, and that emotion comes across in your communication, your point will be lost completely. All the person is going to see is emotion, or potentially even, I would go almost to the other end of the spectrum, in a lack of human intelligence in what you're trying to communicate. See, now, this is what's upsetting to me right now. Like, I see Nickety Max. I don't know how well this is going to work. See, this is offending me. He says, stop with the hands. I communicate with my hands. I'm Italian. I think it's part of my genetics to talk with my hands. But see, to key that in there, it was kind of rude. It was just rude. He got his point across, but he did it in a rude way. That was an emotionally charged statement. And I'm not very likely to respect what he's wanting me to do, because it doesn't sound like he's asking me or requesting in a very respectful manner. Just remember, there's a human being on the other side of whatever you're trying to communicate or whatever decision you're trying to make. I'm trying to save you in many ways from hurting yourself. So before you make that next decision, if you're feeling emotional, just think about it before you feel about it.